Felt is an ancient product used across all cultures, with wool as its raw material. Alan and Adriana are going to show us how to make this non-woven textile product. The first step is to open the fiber. We take it now and move it to the next loader, the drum loader. The first thing we do is to spread it evenly to make sure it covers the whole piece. So you can see how it's being caught. This comb makes the fibers enter between the spikes. This directs all the fibers and creates a piece called batting. Now what I'm going to do is add the color to it. I insert them slightly according to the design I want. You'll see how they start coming out the other side, and you start to see the lines there. So I spread them out a little more or less according to the design I have in mind. Once we've placed the ones we wanted, I'm going to remove the batting from the drum. I pull it up carefully, never tearing the wool. It's never cut. We always work with the fiber, keeping it as whole as possible. So I just start pulling it out. And here you see how the wool begins to appear in carded batting. Then I have another tool that is a porcupine quill, which I use to remove any bits that got stuck deep inside. As you can see, it's becoming quite even. This whole process, depending on the finish you want, can be repeated several times. The more you comb it, the more orderly the fibers are, and the cleaner the carding is. And now, here we have the finished batting. This is quite delicate when handling it. It cannot be stretched. Always try to handle it carefully. Here I have the 4 batting layers ready for felting. Now I place each layer on this mat I have here on the floor, arranging it into the design I want for the cloth. The point that's usually most delicate is joining 2 pieces together. This is where holes can form, so what we do is we try to spread and open the wool below to connect with the other, always as evenly as possible. Now we're going to place the last piece. We do the same with the other 2, spreading the wool in the middle so that the 2 pieces connect without any gaps, as evenly as possible. We'll add hot water with a mild soap. What we use are natural chemical-free soaps, ecological and chemical-free soaps, so it doesn't damage the fiber and is as natural as possible. So the water has to be very hot. It could be 40-50 degrees, as hot as possible, but it must be very hot. The next thing we will use is this bulb syringe. With this, we will collect the water and try to pour it as evenly as possible. Now, we're pouring the water, trying to make it wet all over. What the hot water does, if we look at the fiber under a microscope, is open tiny scales. When reacting with hot water, these scales open up. Then the soap helps the fiber to interlock, and the friction creates the fabric. The first process, up to pre-felting, is the most delicate because the fiber can move. For this, the first thing we do is start pre-felting it by hand. To keep the fiber from moving too much, we place a net over it. Then we cover the piece with the net and add more water all over it. We make sure the fiber is fully soaked. It's a slow process, but this way we make the fleece filter evenly. We can see how it's getting wet, and the fiber flattens out with the water. We do this very gently to avoid movement, to keep it from shifting too much as it sinks down. It's interesting to see foam forming. This will help it filter. We can also add a little more soap, and we need to make sure we don't move the fiber, keeping it in place so that the fleece has no wrinkles. Look, now the fiber has pre-felted. As you can see, it started to felt together. But if I lift it, you can still see loose fibers. We'll cover it now with bubble wrap, which helps since, especially at the beginning, it's a very delicate material and we don't want the fibers to move. So we cover it with this bubble wrap, so that when we put it in the machine, the piece stays in place and doesn't open or stick together. Now, I'm going to moisten the whole piece a bit. This has to be done quickly to lose as little temperature as possible. Now I'm rolling it up. As you can see, the excess water is coming out, and the fibers haven't moved. So now, I'm going to place this roll in the machine so that it rotates, using friction at set times to achieve the desired felt. All right, now we're going to spread it out and check to see how it's doing. We're going to take it off, drain it, and turn it, so the other sides can be done. Usually, the part that gets the most is the one at the top of the piece. Okay, that's why I turn it so it filters evenly throughout all parts. Now, we're going to do the same thing, but since it's filtered well, it already has some substance, we can remove the plastic. If we touch it, it's not hot, but as we can see, it's already quite far along in the filtering process. I'm going to change it, remove the water it has, and add hot water again, and I'll turn the piece so that it's done on this side and that one. In the first process, this part was done. In this process now, this part is done. So now I'm going to make sure this one and the opposite side are done. As we see, the piece has already started. You can feel it when you take it out that it's sticking a little to the blanket, which is interesting because it means the felting process is already underway. Now I'm removing all the water possible because this water is now cold, so it's not useful to me. I don't want it below 30 degrees. This is always very important, keeping the positions, having an order to know which part is filtered and which. As you can see, it already has substance. So I had it in this position. Now I'm going to turn it a quarter turn. I extend it carefully so it doesn't have wrinkles. It's also very important to make sure the lower part has no wrinkles to achieve the fewest folds possible. Now, again, I add hot water, a little soap, and spread it over the skin. and roll it up again. As I said before, it's very important to be clear about which part has been done by the machine and which hasn't, so that everything filters evenly on all sides. And now again we put it in the machine. This pre-filtering process is now finished. Now we'll take it out of here and put it in a fuller machine. This machine spins and makes the piece hit itself. It helps to form the edges, and by controlling the time and temperature, we give it the hardness we want. We have finished the process, and this is the piece we end up with, as you can see. We've shrunk it quite a bit, resulting in a rather dense piece. It could later be used as a tapestry, it can be cut and sewn, and well, we could make the products you see here with this same piece. This is one of the latest products we've made. A felt made from Laka sheep wool. In this whole northern area, the Laka is one of the most common sheep, and its wool is one of the least used, because it's a very coarse wool.
What I mostly work with wool is wet felting, which we do here in the workshop, but I do it more manually. It's about giving it a very gentle friction, and the wool itself starts to bond, it starts felting, and you can make lamps, you can add volume to them. Then we have this one, which also can be done as this would be more like a tapestry, which is a tapestry that instead of being woven is non-woven, it's also felted, and the same thread starts to join. You can add color, make designs, and everything is done with hot water and by kneading the wool with your hands. And then, yes, I do have a wooden tool, so I can apply a bit more pressure, but well, this also goes for soaps. Everything is very manual like this.
This would be a headboard for a bed, with a unique design. And as you can see, you can also see the wool's imperfections, which means it's quality wool, and no chemicals were used to remove these grass pieces. And this is a new product we made. It's a felt coat with a cotton lining inside. Felt can be molded, dyed, and worked with. Besides being an excellent insulator, it's great for making accessories. Alain and Adriana, in the Navarrese town of Zoroquiane, transform sheep's wool into felt, creating a variety of items.